How is one to answer the question of, what day of Sefira is it today? What's the problem? Why not just answer the correct answer? Isn't that what you should tell him? If today's the 5th day of the Omer, tell him today's the 5th day of the Omer. The problem is that some opinions hold that by a rabbinical mitzvah, such as counting Sfiras HaOmer today, one does not need to have kavanah to fulfill his obligation. Thus, if he himself, meaning the person being asked the question, has not yet counted Sfiras HaOmer, if he goes ahead and tells the correct date to the asker, he enters himself into a question whether he was already Yaitse the Sefira, and indeed, according to some opinions, he was Yaitse the Sefira, and he can no longer count with the bracha. So this is what creates the question of, then how is one to answer the question correctly and accurately, not misleading, because we want the person who asked to know what day it is to count correctly, but without entering ourselves into a problem regarding saying the bracha afterwards. So one thing's already clear. If you already counted Sefira, there is no problem in saying whatever you want accurately of today's day of Sefira. The entire question is only if you, the person being asked, has not yet counted. And only then does the question come up. So what's the answer? How should you answer this asker? So there are a number of options available and how to avoid the question of you already being Yaitse through your answer, and that is by counting in an incorrect method, or by avoiding the count completely. What are the examples given? You can say yesterday was such and such day, and the asker will automatically deduce what today's is, so you completely avoid the counting. Another valid option, just say such and such is the Omer. Don't say the word today. Don't say the word Hayom. So if today's the 15th day of Omer, you can either say yesterday was the 14th, or you can say 15th, or 15th of Omer, omitting the word today. The reason for this is because if you didn't say the word today in your count, the count is invalid, as rules the Alter Rebbe in 49:14, based on the Taz Magen Avram, Maimon Mordechai, and many other Achronim. Another option is, you can even say today is such and such, and before you say it, explicitly have in mind to not be Yaitse the mitzvah. Even according to the opinions that say mitzvahs don't need kavanah, they don't hold that your Yaitse, you can fulfill the mitzvah against your will. So if you intend not to fulfill the obligation with this counting, you're okay. So these are the three viable options: saying yesterday was such and such, saying such and such without saying today, and saying even today is such and such, having in mind to not be Yaitse. Nonetheless, the Alter Rebbe concludes lahalacha that while these options are available, you can simply say such and such without saying today. It's always better to avoid it completely and simply say yesterday is such and such. What is the reason behind this? Because what we said is not agreed upon by all poskim. Some poskim say that even if you said such and such without saying the word today, you're Yaitse the Sefira. And some say you're Yaitse a mitzvah, even if you have in mind to not be Yaitse. So even though we don't rule this way, and one who went ahead and said such and such day without saying the word today, or he counted having intent not to fulfill the mitzvah, he would still be able to count with a bracha, because we rule that halachically the counting was invalid. Nonetheless, to initially avoid any issue, you should always just say yesterday is such and such. It does not suffice to say the day without mentioning the weeks, or vice versa, because some opinions hold you Yaitse with saying the day alone, and some say Yaitse with mentioning the weeks alone. So it doesn't help in week 14 to say, in day 15 to say that today is 2 weeks and 1 day, even though you didn't say the word 15. And according to some opinions, you're already Yaitse, and we're chayshish for that. Now, from when does this apply that you should say yesterday's date? For 3 o'clock in the afternoon, someone asked me, what's tonight's Sefira? Can I answer them? Do I have to say yesterday was? And then he doesn't know which yesterday you're referring to. Are you referring to yesterday, today? So Minadin applies only starting after Shkia, but the Alter Rebbe concludes that initially one is to be careful to avoid saying that nights, counting starting from Plag HaMincha and onwards. which is an hour and 15 zmanius minutes before sunset. But until that time, you can answer as usual. So if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Plaga Mincha hasn't arrived yet, you can say tonight is such and such day of the Omer. But once Plaga Mincha has arrived, you should avoid saying it. Lichatchila, and starting from Shkia, that's when the actual halacha applies, that if you accidentally said it, you lost the ability to now say a bracha.